Hello, I'm Patty, back with another episode of Speaking Truth to Goodness. After a brief catch-up post-holiday, we dive into a discussion that veers into unexpected territory. Play as a crucial element of activism. From recognizing life experiences shaping our approach to collective work and leisure, to discussing the furry community's unique form of expression. Today's talk promises a rich exploration of how play can sustain and revitalize our movements. Jerry and Michaela open up about their personal battles and finding strength in giving love. And together we ponder over the transformative power of laughter, creativity, and imagination in our fight for a better world. Stay tuned. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram to join our journey toward infusing activism with joy and playfulness. Here it is.
For the last maybe couple of months anyway, I go have dinner on Wednesday nights and play games or watch snakes or whatever we're doing that day. I watched a snake swallow a mouse. That was a new experience for me.
You didn't think she could do it.
Well, I didn't because she had started and there still was so much mouse.
I know. Well, it's because she decided to eat it from the ass instead of from the head. I don't know what she was thinking.
That's true.
It was funny as it got fluffier and fluffier. I'm like,
Yes,
oh no, Popcorn, what are you doing?
I've not been functioning very well this last week.
Sleep's been the worst, right?
Sleep, but I had two crushing days of depression. Not just I'm depressed today, I can't move today. And that's like, so I turn Shakespeare on his head. He says, "How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem all the uses of this world to me." And I transfer it to how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem all the uses of me to me. And it's true. It's just amazing. I don't know where these come from. They come a few times a year, generally. I have a lot that I repress. Part of where my head is now, I just spent like half an hour, 45 minutes with someone whose wife has dementia, a really good friend, who I care about. And only someone who's been through that, being a caregiver, all the way through, can really be there present in a really positive way. So I'm really happy to do it, but it takes me right back through the re-stimulating all of those.
So you think that's a factor in you getting depressed?
Today, well, I'm not depressed, but I'm definitely in that experience. And there's a couple, been married 63 years.
Wow.
He hasn't been able to carry on a conversation with her for a year. And I know how heartbreaking that is. So that's why I was intergalactic when you walked in. Exactly. Who are you? Do I know you? Mm-hmm. You look familiar. So yeah, I don't know. So I'm harking back to when we used to do criticism and self-criticism. Do you know about that?
We've mentioned it here.
It was back in the ultra-left days.
Yeah.
You criticized other people and you criticized yourself. It was
right. It's brutal.
Yeah, that was exactly the word I was going.
Wait, was this like a group
Political
activity to do?
Like in your group, and so you would criticize. It was just not healthy. It's
part of being disciplined organizers.
And Lee said, you do not practice criticism and self-criticism. You practice criticism and self-mutilation. So I have a long history of not handling this well.
Yeah, chewing yourself up. You have to stop that, Jerry.
Yeah, seriously.
You're so good at loving the rest of us. You need to turn some of that into yourself.
Yes.
I'm not. It's not like I hate myself. I don't. And I'll just be brief about that. We can get down to business. But they went to a furry convention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a furry is?
Well, I know just a little bit of what I've heard from Patty.
How many people were there?
Oh, it had to have been 1,000 or more. It was awesome.
1,000 people.
Yeah. People getting serious about play.
So
Yes, that's so it. They had like a waist-high Connect 4 game set. They had a game of Sorry that, was a big floor game. And it was, somebody had a box fort, giant dice. I mean, it was grown-ups there to play, to turn themselves into giant stuffed animals and play.
So when informs me that this produced, not one that one of the furries produced, but was produced by an independent artisan, and that it cost $4,000, I went to my capitalist analysis and, was somewhat critical. And this piece of shit over here ran a mind game on me, showing me the error of my ways. It was horrifying.
Well, excuse me, I'm going to rat you out here and say that you told me to get back to the kitchen in the middle of that.
I did not.
You told me to get back to the kitchen.
I would never.
Oh, liar.
Oh my God, now I'm so embarrassed I can't even say it. I didn't say that, did I?
I can imagine you saying it in a playful way.
Oh. Well, I didn't mean it. No, that was better than saying, shut the fuck up. But what she was doing was educating me to the community of artisans that are supported by doing this work in this community.
Yeah.
This is something to be celebrated.
And the psychological benefits that the community receives as a whole and each individual by what parts of their own personality they are able to explore through this version of cosplaying. It's amazing.
Afterwards, let's talk about what she's embodying. I just want to be clear what I'm up against here. What beast are we enabling? What beast slouches toward Bethlehem? Its hour come round at last.
Maybe she's an angel, not a beast.
Can't I be both?
Do you have a? Don't you have? Do they have angels in the kitchen? No.
What kitchen?
Yeah, her kitchen, where she's supposed to be.
Oh.
But what I find, Michaela, seriously, is an incredibly supple mind, and her ability and your ability to take in this new world of information and shape it in a form that reveals it rather than obscures it.
Uh-huh. You mean in the notes that she takes about our conversations? Is that what you're referring to?
No, just like the analysis you laid out of the relationship with the community and the craft, and it was brilliant.
Uh-huh.
And just off the top of your, brilliant head. But again, I relearned all this stuff by being part of your family, and because I talked about I told her I'm a vampire. I take all of the life energy in the family and I smudge myself with it, or if I get greedy, I eat a little bit of it. But and it really is a transfusion of understanding and energy.
Uh-huh.
So
therapeutic,
very, and educational to boot.
Yeah,
helps me think about other things differently.
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny to sit here and hear you say all that, because I felt like when we connected and why this is happening was distinctly in part because I felt it was important to capture your perspective and the understanding of the decades past. I mean, of life, but especially around
She
activism.
just said I was in our
Vintage?
You're an old geezer.
antique. She's an antique collector.
I mean, kind of. Well, but I wanted to have knowledge and experience through you to have a lens toward the past, right?
No. You wanted to understand in order to have a lens toward the future.
Oh, okay. I think you're right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think we have to understand the
right.
past.
I think both are true. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you wouldn't do that just for the sake of doing it. The idea is for, as we take in new or old information, is how can we shape that in the world in a way that's going to make the difference that we feel needs to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's funny, though, the more we have talked about this, it's like, well, I know that we'll have things that we want to see happen and things that we're going to contribute to, the three of us, individually and together. But also, I'm thinking about it like, maybe one of the big things we need to learn is that so many generations leading up to where we are now have thought they need to impose their will on the upcoming generations to make sure it goes okay. And I actually think that maybe that's wrong, and we should be going, now's the time for me to step back, learn from, and support the younger generations because it's their world.
why should age be a determining factor?
Well, I don't think it's a determining factor, but I think age, we have to consider it in the sense that we're working with a different body of knowledge.
It's not so much about age, it's about experience.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think you're completely right. And what I'm learning directly and indirectly through you and your family and from what they watch on television, oh my God. Snakes. We're sitting here watching snakes, and it's cool. And the snake lady is really cool.
Isn't she great?
It's really special. And but I realize information is coming from all directions. To me, that's overwhelming because my receptors are sort of tuned in a particular way to carry the weight of it. And I think like your pass-throughs, the energy just goes through them. The information, chunks of it stick, chunks of it don't.
Yep.
But they're just like processors. They're just energy information processors. Mm-hmm. That's an important thing for me to begin to understand. And it literally shifts my perspective. Part of, I think, why this is difficult for me is between being at the coast for 10 years and dealing with Lee's health and death for 10 years, I've been out of the flow. Generally speaking, when I was like 20 years ago, I was pretty much in the flow of what was happening in big chunks of the progressive left here in Portland. And so I was constantly being fed new experience, new information. And then I have this, here's a word I don't usually use, lacuna, this gap. New word, lacuna?
Yeah.
It's a gap. Particularly important because Barbara Kingsolver wrote a novel called Lacuna, which was about a gap. And had the best, funnest writing about Frida Kahlo and Leon Trotsky ever. I mean, just fabulous.
Was she the author of Poisonwood Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume you've read the Poisonwood Bible?
No.
You would enjoy it a lot.
I'm certain I would.
It's... never mind. Calm down. You're getting me worked up.
Some of it could trigger you too, given your history.
I could see that.
Because it is the perspective that the Bible's poison, right? And that as it's lived out in the Africa that's not that far removed from the Africa I lived in, maybe by 10 years.
Mm.
So she's writing about Congo, which is right across the next country. And I found her writing about it very, very compelling in terms of writing. She lived there until she was 8, I think, in
Something
Congo.
like that,
Wow.
And her parents were botanists, so she's writing out of her own life experience and then just being Barbara Kingsolver. Do you know Barbara Kingsolver?
Not really, other than I could picture the cover with her name on it.
It's interesting. So we still have some unanswerable questions, which is part of what we're going to be talking about today.
We're going to answer the big questions today.
We're going to
figure it all out.
We're going to answer the big questions today.
Well, maybe not the big questions.
Oh,
I mean, sort of the intermediate-sized questions.
okay.
That's fair.
Save the big questions for later. Sort of our final season. We'll get to the big questions.
I thought this was the big day.
But I can see how having, it reminds me of your mind and my mind. Your mind is organized, my mind is wired in a completely different way. And they're beautiful together. And they overlap. I think we're a Venn diagram. Are we a Venn diagram?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. I'm not sure what it is, but I think we are one. So
I don't know what that is. A Vim?
it's the overlaps.
Diagram. Oh.
It's the ways in which our ideas overlap, and that common area of overlap has a different texture to it, I guess, would be my intuitive sense of it.
Did you know the symbol that we use for a Venn diagram is an ancient sacred geometry symbol called the Vesica Piscis, and it was often used to represent birth into a new world?
Is that from Greece?
Probably. Although I think even Grecian mathematicians got their learning from Africa.
Son of a gun.
Yep.
I'm not surprised.
Doesn't that just figure? I think, Plato spent 20 years in Africa learning.
Oh. Well, good for him. Too bad he didn't attribute much of what he said to those people.
Seems to be the common theme.
So as we approach this task that we've been so successfully circumnavigating, give us a prompt.
A prompt. Well, so the thing I keep coming back to is the recognition that starting this with Michaela, you were very serious about wanting to come to concrete ideas. And I think all three of us could live in the land of theory and ideas and story. And those are important, but I want to honor the request because that's my heart too, is let's find something that actually feels like either actionable or that we have, or that we could say we have a new moment of understanding that will carry us forward, even if we aren't like, okay, we're going to lead this and then start this program,
Yeah.
But then there's what I always felt was this sort of condensed life experience that wanted to infuse everything. Every relationship, every connection, every physical act, every attempt to maybe not even explain, open up our experience as human beings at what I perceive as a deeper level. Other people would see it as shallow. But so it's impassioned and it's lived out of the body, not exclusively the brain. The brain obviously is a big part of it. But and I think that really that's what drives me, is to try to find new languages, new ways to break through the sort of impasse of this separation of mind and body. So clearly, I think what we're doing, it may not even have a theoretical aspect. It may have a rational structure that's useful.
Yeah.
But it's fed from underground rivers of emotion and stuff. Okay. I'm going back in my image is from Alice in Wonderland. The dormouse that comes up out of the teapot, looks around and goes back down in the teapot. So I'm over here in a big teapot, and I come up, and then I go back in the teapot. Hand gestures here for those of you who are listening to this. But And Patty could not speak if she could not use her hands. Just
I was going to say,
So,
if you're the
reframe.
dormouse in the teapot,
I'm the dormouse in the teapot that the snake is about to eat.
can I go find the caterpillar with the hookah then?
Speaking
You just have to go there, don't you?
Speaking with your hands, you know what the least spoken language in the world is? Sign language.
That was a joke, right?
Yeah.
But it's probably also true.
I like it. That's
I
definitely
find,
true.
I find ASL to be such a rich, expressive language because it's embodied. You speak it with your body. And I just think somehow your way of understanding has to be affected if the vehicle is not through the eyes into the brain, but into the body first.
Yeah.
And then that translation. So
Might serve to make us a little more empathetic.
yes. So, oh my God, I'm just all wound up today.
Can I take us somewhere? Or
Take it somewhere.
or
I'm
you
going to
can
try
go
to find some James Baldwin in here somewhere that I can tie it back to.
Scanning.
Scanning.
Well, I mean, I guess I was just looking at the too large write-up that I did last time. And what had come up was activism and self-care. And since we started this conversation talking about the furry convention, and you mentioned play off of that, maybe that's apt for today, to the idea of affirming the importance of play and rest and self-care in not just in everyday life, like I'm sure most of us could do more of, but specifically when it comes to doing work that is for the betterment of the world, whatever that activist work is. How does that strike you? Would you like to talk about the role of
between the eyes,
play and having fun?
Yeah, I just want to get this. Eduardo Galeano was this amazing Uruguayan. Do you know Eduardo Galeano?
I do.
Century in the Wind. He wrote a history of Latin America, North America, in vignettes about poets, politicians, dancers, normal people, and no vignette was less than a page, and created this sort of collage of history and as a sort of very progressive left person, showing things from the perspective of the oppressed. And so that's where Eduardo Galeano meets James Baldwin, because I knew it was in there somewhere, and it's because he says literature, or maybe it's John Berger. I'm wrong. It's John Berger. Why is so much literature created by people who are oppressed? Because it's only in being outside that you can see. And so that just is an exciting idea to me in this sort of vein of the importance of getting outside of, not out of your mind. I don't want to go there, but or I often do. But there's so many more ways of knowing, and I think what we've learned about how children learn, and that it's not the way teaching is being done, and that it's different for every person. So it's just that sense of the uniqueness of all this. I just played my guitar there. It's about play. It's about spiritual play. It's about intellectual play. It's about physical play, and how that opens up our ways of knowing. So I like this idea, and now I really am going back in my teapot. I'm not going to do this. I'm too excited today. I'm going to go in the other room, and you carry on, and I'll come back later. Am I disruptive?
Yes, let's go. Let's do it. Take
Yeah.
up your idea. Let's
Okay.
go with that.
Well, what was on your mind when you first mentioned the idea of bringing in more play?
And self-care.
Yes.
Well, one thing was Zany Bits, the street theater group that we've put together, and we seem to be hanging together well and having fun and coming up with good ideas for skits that start with, like we just met this Monday and we created a skit for the Groundhog Day action. Mm-hmm. Most of the conversation in beginning to figure out what we're going to do, what the skit's going to be, is messy. It's like it's all these different ideas from different individuals, and they crash into each other, or they fall to the wayside, or and they're so for much of the conversation, maybe most of the conversation, there's very little connection between what different people are saying. Very little apparent connection.
Oh.
Because what I realized because we've done this successfully twice now, we've had this very searching, messy, discordant conversation that created a wonderful skit. And it came together in maybe the last quarter or third of the conversation, and until then we were bumping into each other and falling over the edge, and it was. But when it finally started coming together, you realized that I can't speak for other people, that connections were being made from the get-go at different points. You just didn't recognize it until there was enough ideas and perspectives bubbling up among us to see that, oh, yeah, this goes with this, and we could do that, and then that, and But it's the first 3/4 of the conversation to me are very frustrating because I don't see order. I don't see us getting anywhere.
That's so interesting.
It doesn't get there rationally to me.
Yeah.
It gets there out of allowing ourselves to just flail out ideas.
You mean it doesn't get there in a formulaic way like you might have learned in school?
Yes.
It gets there through play? Is that what you're saying?
The organizer in me wants it to be linear,
Uh-huh.
and ordered among us, where we're not interrupting each other. In this case, we're interrupting each other, and
Well, I'm going to interrupt you right now. And what do you do with those skits once they're created? How do you use them?
We use them in street theater in our actions.
Exactly. That's my point. I just want to make clear that we're not talking about an abstract, fun process for its own use. It's for creating something useful in our attempts to save the planet.
But the ability to do that is nurtured by the playback theater exercises that Susan and Bill have been teaching us, where we're just expressing ourselves bodily, emotionally, vocally, in very silly ways. Like that on Monday, we depicted, we acted out different herds of different kinds of animals.
Awesome.
So we did squirrels and elephants and snakes and fish and, and you got to let go. You can't be serious about that.
Oh no, what are people going to think of me?
Right.
And this is a group of people who can be very, very serious.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what's extraordinary about this.
Some of the people in that group, I didn't expect to even join the group because I saw them as so serious. And maybe they saw me that way, too.
And yet they were making fishy faces with you.
Yes. we're all just being outrageous.
Have you done acting or skits of any kind before this?
I did some street theater years ago, but not a lot.
That sounds
so
delightful.
Where have you used the things you've been creating over the last few months?
The last one was at the protest at Metro and their hearings on the 2020, or what was it, the next 5-year plan for Metro, in which they were proposing and ended up adopting adding more lanes to roads and highways, and very few funds for mass transit or bicycles or pedestrian safety, or
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
So we had a wonderful skit where we were challenging two people who were playing members of the Metro Council, and they were singing about their cars and how proud they were of their plan, and we would go up and, you need to provide more bike lanes, you need to provide more free, fareless transit, etc. And we ended up yelling at them, you're not listening, and they put their hands over their ears like this. You're not listening. It was great. Yeah, that was the last one.
So I think the reason, obviously, those were pointed questions to say, this does actually have some practical application, but it has implications as opposed to applications that go way beyond that. Because I suspect, and I know most of these, if not all of these people, it loosens up how you think. It loosens up your tolerance for a lack of immediate unanimity about a plan, which you then implement, whether it's a good one or not, which we have done in the past several times, forever. So the changes that come about are both directly apparent in the action and the activity, but less so they're retraining us in how to think about disagreement, and again, underneath it all is there's this, it's connected to this theater practice, which is in your body. It's not in your mind, it's in your body, it's in your emotional world. So there's a long-term effect in the lives of everyone who's part of it. There's a short-term effect for the people who see it. We would like to make that short-term longer, but
that's
so
what social media can do. Because if we do if we do a skit on the street once, the people who were there see it. If we put it on social media, the potential grows. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep saying it. I don't really like social media either, but I'm going to keep saying it because I know we're stuck with it.
If you weren't the tech person, the roadie, we might not invite you back. Oh, wait. You created this, didn't you? Okay, guess you can stay.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here without.
But so this is what's exciting. Go ahead.
Oh,
because I stay excited, it won't go away.
Well, I was thinking about, you were talking about everyone has their ideas for 3/4 of your skit planning session, and it seems like chaos, but then somehow it happens. I'm very curious to know, what is your perception of how each person's ideas come through? Not to say that, okay, I'm going to have to talk about this to say what I'm getting at. I'm thinking about a group of 5 people, potentially, and knowing how very often those 5 people working together to do something could end up being dominated by 1 or 2 people whose ideas inevitably make it through, and some people who eventually stop saying anything because their ideas don't make it through. So and I'm not saying that about the group you're working with, obviously, just understanding how groups can be in general. And I think to bring in the introverty aspect, that type of dynamic can be really off-putting to some people who might want to get involved.
Which kind of dynamic would be off-putting? The chaotic part?
Not necessarily the chaotic part, but when the chaos always still lands with 1 or 2 people being the drivers, that can be really off-putting, and it's a funny thing, because does everyone who gets involved feel like my idea has to be out there? I mean, not necessarily. But also to feel like, see, it can be an ego thing of, I want my idea front and center because then I can feel proud. But it can also be a thing of, if everyone should be feeling like they've contributed.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And
so-
and I think that people get offended that their thing wasn't included
Yeah.
more because it's
Yeah.
like, well, I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to
Right.
to know that
Right.
I had done a good thing here,
Yeah.
right?
I think so far we're well, maybe the best way of saying it is we're learning how to drop our egos in these conversations. But it's not. We certainly have differences to iron out in those sessions. So, for example, a number of people in the conversation on Monday were making the argument that there should be a person in the skit who plays a principled TV reporter who's trying to tell the truth and do the right thing. And I was saying initially, I don't know any principled reporters who are reporting on climate change, you know. And other people say, oh yeah, there's some. And that role kept being enhanced and pushed in the conversation. And instead of insisting that, you know, insisting that no, we can't do that, I don't know, you know, I just kept asking questions and saying, I'm still not able to get behind this. Can you tell me more about where this is coming from? You know? So, and other people were in different ways, they kept putting out their ideas and sometimes repeating them, but not trying to force it on the group. There wasn't any forcing. And yet, with people sort of benevolently,
You tell me when to say benevolently, and I will.
We got each other's back here. We got this.
You got it. What he said. They just kept putting it out there in civil ways. I mean, not necessarily ordered or quietly, you know, but if a person is attached to a particular idea, it takes a while for them to let go of it if other people aren't agreeing. My point is that we're developing nonviolent ways of disagreeing.
Okay.
You know, mm-hmm. and I didn't feel like any of us, including myself, ended up feeling shafted or left out or denied or, you know.
Process.
But there was definitely choices made by the group.
How were those choices made? Are you able to describe how it happened?
That's really the hard part, because I don't, just after so much messy conversation, it began to come together. We began to settle into a shared vision of it. But I don't know exactly how it happened.
I'm just thinking a couple of things, but it's like, but you felt heard. So even if your idea... So now there's an important principle. People need to feel heard. Uh-huh. They don't have to be agreed with. I mean, I certainly feel that way. I don't expect people necessarily to agree with me, but I like it when they listen to me and give me credit and don't say, oh, you're just stupid, which really irritates me, because I'm many things, but stupid is not one of them in some ways.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a really important part.
Yeah,
so
and
creating environments in which people feel heard.
Right. And it wasn't that I or maybe other people felt heard from the get-go, like I had to reassert my opinion or keep asking questions or say I'm so confused about this in order to get heard. So there was a little bit of gentle struggle there. You know?
But I noticed you felt like you could do that.
Yeah.
Which that sounds like a really healthy group working environment.
Right. And people honored that. They respected that. So,
in the 60s, we call them vibes observers.
Right.
Someone in a group who's watching the emotional temperature of the group and
Yeah.
who's being heard and who's not being heard,
Yeah.
and has the power to say this person is not. So I think we all have to internalize that part in ourselves. We won't always have that external role. It may or may not be useful, but the idea is useful. Everybody needs to feel heard. So then, as from the Gospel according to Patty, everyone has something to contribute, and it may not end up shaping the idea, but it's what they have to contribute that has to be honored. That has to be. No, we have to speak the truth to what? Oh, goodness. I think, and again, looking back in the old political late 60s, early 70s days, working people had a lot of trouble finding their way into political organizations because there was a vocabulary, there were a set of assumptions, and there was, again, from my perspective, no understanding that for a working person with a family to engage in political activity requires a much greater sacrifice than a student. A student has very little skin in the game. A working person with a family has a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah.
Those people don't need to be exploited, which is what the left tried to do, advanced workers or whatever the hell that was. But in my leadership style, every person who comes to a meeting would in some way, directly or indirectly, be acknowledged as having contributed. And it could be something as simple as, sometimes these meetings seem a little obscure and but I just want to welcome everyone who's here because we're not going to move forward without all of us together. So, I don't know what. It would be more spontaneous than that. But what we're suggesting here is that play can inform how we are in the world in a way that's going to make our organizing more effective. And I've seen very little of it over the years, even from myself. So again, World According to Patty is very important to me. And that's the first connection that we had was actually when you read your statement at Zenith about how you became involved from being from another planet, another world, and making a decision that you had to find some way into this attempt to save the world because you have what? Children. Shock. Oh, we need a planet for them. Why is that not apparent to everyone?
You know what children are very good at?
Hmm?
You know what children are very good at? Play.
Okay.
And they learn through it.
Right.
Welcome to the Waldorf
yeah.
School.
And Zany Bits learns, grows, builds something through their play. And I can't help but notice that when we talk about activist things, we attach the word work to it,
But not play.
but not play.
Yeah. That's because this society does not encourage playing people.
No.
It exploits working people.
Playing doesn't make money.
But you're so good. We need to reframe
Yeah.
in both methodology, i.e. play as a method of organizing, which it is, but just to acknowledge it so that we can, not in the narrow sense refine it, but understand it better. So we can, embody. It has to be embodied. It can't be something we have to think about. It has to become, nothing has to be. I invite you to consider it would be good if we incorporated this into how we treat each other and how we treat people we don't know, who we want to involve in what we know is really, really important stuff.
And one of the payoffs of the street theater that we're doing is that the people watching it when we actually do it at the action have fun.
Yeah.
They laugh and they clap and they sing and even though this is it's all we're addressing very serious issues so that is I think one of the main goals of doing, whether it's street theater or other playful things as part of political action, that's an essential goal. And I agree with you, Patty, that it has to be recorded and broadcast. Social media, mainstream media, and that's an even bigger challenge.
Yes.
Particularly getting the attention of mainstream media.
Yeah, definitely.
So we are working on that, but that's a tough one.
Well, I mean, as we've sort of come to realize, mainstream media has gotten very good at turning a blind eye, aka what do we call it, shadow banning, I think, online. The people doing the climate activist work. I mean, the boat out blocking the tanker.
That's right.
The Greta T. Didn't get an article, didn't get a spot on the 6 o'clock
That's right.
news.
That's right.
And that's some bullshit. I mean, I've said it before. We're going to have to do something truly heinous to get their attention. But it occurs to me that we have to do something different now because they're used to seeing our antics like that. So we've got to do something they can't ignore. And it occurs to me that if we're out having a ton of fun playing, they might cover us. Maybe. It's either that or get naked, so.
Or both.
Or I mean, yeah, I'm here for it.
Right. Or, according to some climate activists, like the ones, I can't remember the name of the group, but they were depicted in that article I sent around.
Oh, Just Stop Oil?
Say it again?
Just Stop Oil?
Just Stop Oil. They're arguing that we have to be more disruptive. We have to risk offending our targets. And that's controversial. There are people in our local group who are not for that at all. They want us to treat everyone, regardless of their role in this crisis, with respect. And I find myself vacillating from one to the other because I'm pissed off at the targets, that we're protesting against, And I see them not taking responsibility that they have.
Are you saying like city leaders, that kind of thing?
Yeah, people on the Metro Council,
So in our next episode, because we're not going to get to it in this one, we can talk about strategy. It doesn't belong in this conversation, but a deeper understanding of strategy is implicit in the model that we are developing here around play and self-care, which we haven't gotten to yet, self-care. And we will, and maybe now or maybe later.
And that wraps up today's exploration of play in the sphere of activism. We laughed, we debated, and we uncovered the layers of how essential play is to our well-being and resilience. From furry conventions to the profound discussions on love and self-appreciation with Michaela and Jerry. We've seen the spectrum of what play and rest can mean in our lives. Zany Bits, our local street theater group, reminds us of the cohesive power of seemingly chaotic creativity and how everyone's voice contributes to the collective melody of change. Remember, your participation, your voice, and your unique expression of play are vital in this journey. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more discussions, and follow us on Instagram for updates. Keep speaking truth to goodness, because goodness is all around.